right, it's time for Heavy Cardboard's take on the Capitals.
So the Capitals, published in 2013 by Mercury Games, designed by Tiago Boaventura. It plays 2 to 5, although I've only played it 3, 4, and 5. Takes anywhere from 90 minutes to, say, 3.5 hours, especially if you're on the higher end of the play count and it's early on in your experience level.
Sure.
So what's going on in the game is the Capitals is a city-building, tile-laying game where players compete to build up their city or their capital to be able to host the World Expo. The game is played over 12 rounds, which is broken up into 3 different eras. Players must juggle 6 main facets of running their city in order to do well. These are represented on the board as various tracks. The economy, which is how much money you have to work with. Culture, how attractive your city is to visiting tourists. Public services, which is your local government, and is it running your city efficiently? The progress track, which is your scientific development that helps your city improve its power station, which allows you to activate more buildings. The population and employment tracks, which you want to increase your population, but at the same time, you want to make sure that your employment is keeping pace with your population.
Oh, yeah.
Players have to pay for turn order and then select and build building tiles, after which players choose which and how often to activate the building tiles in their city. Activating buildings helps players move up on the aforementioned tracks. At the end of each era, there's a World Expo evaluation, i.e. scoring round.
Right.
And each players can and will lose or maybe gain prestige, i.e. victory points, and the player with the most prestige at the end of the third era wins. So I said that, you can and will lose prestige points. The game feels a bit punitive at times because you're going to...
Especially early.
Yeah, you're going to be... at the end of each scoring round, the World Expo eval, they're evaluating your city, and your city's not so much to look at the first, maybe even the end of the second era. So they look at your town and they hammer you as far as prestige. Mm-hmm. So you're accumulating all these negative points, and you're like, am I going to be able to score in the positive by the end of the game? And usually it's a non-issue. But man, that first half to 2/3 of the game, you're wondering about that.
Indeed.
Which, to be honest with you, is something that I kind of dig about the game because of the fact that it's almost like the anti-point salad. You're getting points from your prestige from a bunch of different things, but
it's not rewarding you for every little thing you do. It's like, hey, keep working at it.
Right, exactly. Hey, maybe one day you'll get there, but right now you're not.
Rub some dirt on it next turn.
Right. I dig the 3D nature of the board. It has a cool, look to it. Yep. Component quality is fantastic on this. Super thick cardboard, chunky wooden bits, the little tourist cars and everything. Mm-hmm. Big fan of that. So the construction token, which is your building limitation. So when you go and you buy or you purchase one of these building tiles, you have to then put it on your tableau, and orthogonally adjacent to an existing building. Well, you have this little crossroad, little T, and it's literally 2 roads and intersection.
Lines,
right. And when you place a tile, you must place it where that construction marker is. You can break the rule. It's punitive if you do, but you can place it somewhere else. But so every time that you place a tile, you then get to move the construction marker to be able to place it somewhere else and to be able to build up a different part of your city.
Right.
And so it takes that forethought. You have to be like, well, I think I want to, build up over here to try and get some synergy. So you have to move that marker. So I like that
little extra level of planning.
Exactly. That limitation, but it's a good kind of limitation. So activating the buildings allows you to use the energy that you get from your power stations. It's a lot like Keyflower in that respect, and that every subsequent activation costs more and more energy. So the first time you activate a building costs 1 energy, say. And then the next one is 1 more than the total pieces of wood, or which are represented, the little energy cubes. Mm-hmm. And so The second time it's 2, the third time it's 3, so on and so forth. So it gets harder and harder, and it kind of harkens back to a game that we both really enjoy, which is Keyflower.
Right.
So tourism in the game, which I didn't I mentioned a little bit, that it's that culture track, how attractive your city is to the tourist. People, and by people I mean the pseudo people in your city, are going to want to go out and venture to other cities. They're only going to want to go to the city with the highest culture. And so the advantage of being higher on the culture track is you get everyone else's little tourist cars.
The little cars. Yeah.
Right, which help you activate buildings cheaper. And so by being higher on that culture track, you're able to take potential energy cubes, or i.e. the tourist cars, from other players and use them in your tableau. So that's kind of a cool aspect, I think. The initiative track, which is turn order, those are non-trivial decisions because it's not really an auction, but it's a, how would you say, it's kind of a, the more expensive spots are going to be higher in turn order, but you're going to be spending that money that you can't then use later on in your turn,
right.
And you have to be able to budget. And so how important is turn order for you for that turn? Like I said, it's kind of the anti-point salad game because you're not getting points. In fact, you're getting a whole lot of negative points for the areas in which your city is lacking, which is fantastic. And another thing is, I just dig seeing my tableau, seeing my city build right there in front of you. You know,
like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. So there are a couple things that I should point out that are maybe not on the plus side of things. First off, it says it plays 2 to 5. Don't play at 5. Don't ever play at 5. 3 to 4 feels like the sweet spot. 5 makes the downtime just excessive. It's it's terrible. 5-player. As far as in our experience with it, it's just it plays way too long. The graphic design, the symbols take some getting used to, and you're going to be referencing back to the little player aid that they give you, which is great. You know that they have the player aids, but it's kind of a bit of a learning curve for the graphic design on that. But once you learn it, it decreases how much you got to reference.
Many games.
Sure. And last but not least, it rewards multiple plays. So the game might feel a little long for your first play, like, wow, that, some games kind of hum along and 4 hours goes by and you're like, wow, where'd that go? The first time you play this, maybe not so much. It might feel all that time, but it decreases significantly as you get more and more plays. It's just a heavy, brain-burny city builder that rewards repeated play. And we didn't go too far in depth on this. Just we want to feature it later on in a future episode, so hopefully look for it then. As far as a rating, I'm going to save it for the featured review.
Yeah.
So
good idea.
Yeah. So that's the Capitals.